Welcome back to Terrier Nation. I'm your host, Tyler Davis.
And I'm Ryder Moss. On today's episode, Addison, Morin, and Erin Cromwell catch us up on women's lacrosse. Then, Hannah Connors and Valentina Rossi bring us the newest from men's ice hockey.
We'll also get an update from Jose Rodriguez on all things men's lacrosse. Then our own Jack Hughes and Mason Jablonsky sit down to discuss the men's and women's basketball teams. Finally, Sally Yuan lets us know all about women's ice hockey.
All this and more tonight on Terrier Nation.
Thanks, Tyler and Ryder. The BU women's lacrosse team is back. With 4 wins already under their belt, the potential to improve on the 2024 record of 5-11 looks very possible. The team currently sits at 4-2 with no Patriot League matches played yet. The Terriers open the 2025 season with a home game against number 1 ranked Boston College. Unfortunately, the team could not find their rhythm against the defending national champions. The Terriers had just 10 shots on goal, but were able to capitalize on 6 of the shots. Unfortunately, it was no match for BC's 21 goals in the game. However, some of the Terriers' most recent matchups have looked very promising.
The team bounced back, winning 4 of their last 5 games. One of their most recent games at Iona came out to a 14-5 win for the Terriers. The team started off strong with junior midfielder Jane Feeney scoring 1 minute and 6 seconds into the first period, marking her 5th goal of the season. The Terriers were matched by Iona, but quickly regained the lead, which they maintained for the remainder of the game. The Terriers ended the first period with 6 goals on the board as compared to Iona's 1. Sophomore midfielder Tessa Geddes scored 4 goals this game, tallying her 9th goal for the season and the most goals in a single game up to that point.
That's right, Erin. The Terriers really found their rhythm in this game. Speaking of rhythm, many players have already found theirs. Sophomore Isabella Amonte has 13 goals and 4 assists for a total of 17 points on the year. She recorded her first hat trick a few weeks ago against Stonehill in a 14-6 win. Amonte did not play in any games in the 2024 season, so this is her first appearance in collegiate lacrosse games, and she is proving to be a key to this team. Sophomore Tessa Geddes also had tallied a double-digit number of goals at 12, along with 1 assist. Both Isabella and Tessa recorded 3 goals in the Terriers' latest matchup against Merrimack. Erin has more on that win.
The Terriers closed out February with a big home win against Merrimack. The final score was 17-6. The offense was led by 4 goals from Jane Feeney once again, who now has 10 goals on the season. She is now tied with Tessa Geddes for most goals scored in a game this season. Freshman Alex Cucharez scored her first goal of her collegiate career in the first period and followed it up with a second goal minutes later.
The team looks ahead to 5 games throughout March, 3 of those being Patriot League matchups. Now we're going to pass it over to Hannah and Valentina with the latest on men's ice hockey.
Thanks, Addison and Erin. After clinching the Bean Pot Trophy against the number 1 ranked Boston College, the Boston University men's ice hockey team has struggled to meet expectations in the games that have followed. I'm Hannah Connors, and this is Valentina Rossi, here to talk you all through it. The past 2 weekends since the Bean Pot tournament, the Terriers have split back-to-back weekend series against the number 7 ranked Providence College and the unranked Northeastern University, and won in an overtime shootout against the Yukon Huskies. Valet, let's start with the series against Providence College.
Sure thing. The Terriers fell short. Losing to Providence 6-3, the team struggled, breaking the puck out of the neutral zone. And when the puck was in the BU offensive zone, they couldn't maintain consistent and clean possession. With rock-solid goaltending from Friar goalie Philip Svedback and an off game for BU goaltender Mikhail Yegorov, Coach Pandolfo made the decision to pull Yegorov at 16:29 in the second period, replacing him with Matthew Caron, who has not played since January 24 against Boston College. While the Terriers were able to score 3 goals, 2 came on the power play, showing the Terriers' inability to break through the Providence defense. The second game against Providence was a completely different story for the Terriers. Yegorov recorded his first collegiate shutout. Freshman Sasha Boumediene got his first goal, and for the most part, Terriers were able to stay out of the penalty box, generating opportunities offensively and defensively, ultimately accumulating a 3-0 win. It seems the Terriers had their post-Beanpot spark back until their next game against Northeastern.
I agree, Valet. Similar to what we saw the first half of the season, BU seemed to have fallen back into the same pattern, lose the first game of the series and come back to win the next. This Northeastern game just solidified this narrative. The Terriers logged a 5-1 loss against Northeastern. After the game on Friday, Coach Pandolfo cited the team was having an effort problem and had a, quote, lack of focus. But like they've done all season, in their second game of the series, they took down Northeastern 3-1. With drastic line changes, it really did seem like a completely different Terrier team in less than 24 hours.
Absolutely, Hannah. Freshman Cole Hudson stepped up as he's done all season, notching the game-winning goal and adding an assist on the empty netter against Northeastern. His presence on the ice has become increasingly impactful for BU, as a defenseman, but also as a player that's making great offensive efforts for BU.
I think Mikhail Yegorov's goaltending was another highlight. After a rough game on Friday, he bounced back brilliantly, making crucial saves that kept the Terriers in the lead, especially during those crucial penalty kills. Yegorov currently holds a .930 save percentage and is proving to be one of the most valuable assets for the Terriers. It's impressive to see how the team managed to stay disciplined and focused after Saturday's win against Northeastern. Goal scorer Tristan Amante said, "We might need to imagine we lost the game on Monday. Maybe that's a secret for us." And it sure seems like they did in order to clinch an overtime win against UConn on Tuesday. Fast-paced hockey filled the first period, allowing UConn to take an early lead in the first frame.
The Terriers, however, answered back, matching UConn's speed over halfway through the period. Sasha Boumediene netted BU's first goal, tying up the game. The second period, although filled with action, remained scoreless for either team. Hannah, could you talk us through the third period?
Certainly. With both teams eager to take the lead, UConn jumped to it 5 minutes into the frame. But just as Cole Hudson has done all year, he delivered for the Terriers, tying the game with less than 10 minutes left in the period. The goal was one for the highlight reels. After bringing the puck through the neutral zone, in between his skates, and then passing between two UConn players, he scored the game-tying goal for BU. He did this all on 4-on-4 play as well. It's really impressive to see freshmen making such a difference for the team.
This sent the game into overtime and was followed by a shootout. Yegorov held strong, saving both shootout shots from UConn, and beautiful goals by Quinn Hudson and Cole Iserman allowed the Terriers to get the extra Hockey East point and overtime win.
The Terriers will look to carry over this momentum into their final 2 regular season games against Providence College for their last home game and an away game at Vermont. Puck drop is scheduled for 7 p.m. against Providence on March 6th at Agganis and 7 p.m. on March 8th at Vermont.
It will certainly be a way to close out the regular season. Now let's pass it to Jose with men's lacrosse.
Thanks, Hannah and Valentina. Following a heartbreaking loss to Lehigh in the Patriot League Championship game last year, the men's lacrosse team is back with something to prove. The defeat has fueled their determination this season, and they've started strong, winning their first 4 games, displaying both skills and resiliency. Now they look to keep their unbeaten streak alive as they hit the road this Saturday for a noon matchup against Navy. A standout player for the Terriers is junior Jimmy Core, who has been on fire with an outstanding 13 goals in just 4 games. His performance on Valentine's Day during the home opener against Monmouth has particularly memorable. He marked the occasion by tallying 6 goals and 2 assists, leading the team to a commanding 15-6 victory. This game set a new career high for Core. In addition to Core, the Terriers have also benefited significantly from the contribution of newcomer Timothy Shanahan, making an impressive impact as a fresh face on the team. The freshman has already amazed 11 goals in his first 4 collegiate games. His standout performance in the recent match against Air Force was the highlight of the season so far, where he scored 5 goals and providing 2 assists, helping the Terriers to secure a 15-7 victory. With both Core and Shanahan excelling, the Terriers are looking forward to build on their momentum as the season progresses. the teams aim to secure their second Patriot League title in its program's history, their first coming in 2022, 3 years ago. The Terriers is focused on repeating that success and adding another trophy to their collection. Now let's send it over to Jack and Mason with the latest on basketball.
Thanks, Jose. The Boston University basketball teams are rounding out the regular season and looking to ride some momentum into the Patriot League tournament. With just one game remaining on their slate, the men are 15-15, 9-8 in conference play, and are tied for 5th in the Patriot League. The women have 2 games left to play and are currently 11-16. They're 7th in the Patriot League with a conference record of 5-11. Jack, let's start with the fellas. What have you seen from the team down the final stretch?
Well, Mason, that's tough to nail down because they've shown us a lot. We've seen them hang around and win shootouts down the stretch like at home against Colgate. They've showcased an ability to lock down the top team in the conference on the road against American, holding them to 48 points, and we've seen everything in between. For better or for worse, there's not a lot you can rule out with this squad.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. The team has shown flashes of brilliance, at times on the road, but especially on their home court. The Terriers have simply refused to lose at Case Gym in conference play, and each of their wins has come with grit and resilience. One player who's really risen to the occasion in the waning weeks of the season has been sophomore guard Tyrone Alexander. He posted back-to-back game winners against Colgate in double overtime and then versus Loyola Maryland. Alexander is confident and collected in the clutch, which are outstanding qualities to have as a second-year player. Now, Jack, the men are poised to play their Patriot League quarterfinal matchup on the road on March 6th. What are you expecting to see from the team as they tip off postseason basketball?
Unfortunately, Mason, the postseason for the Terriers may just come down to 3 words. On the road. It's been the dark cloud hanging over every success this team has had this season, especially in conference play. At the roof, they're one of the league's best offenses. They travel anywhere else, and they're by far the worst. That game against American, when they held the Eagles to 48 points, they still lost because the offense put up just 44, including a 14-point first half. As defensively sound as BU has been, the best in the conference, in fact. You can't win playoff games with offensive performances like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jack. At home, the Terrier offense has been lightning in a bottle, but almost every time they hit the road, it's like the bottle's uncorked and the lightning escapes. Zap! It's going to take a disciplined effort on the offensive end, and for that, the Terriers need to take care of the basketball. They turned it over 19 times in that close loss to American. BU will have to clean that up if they want to move on to the semifinals. Now, let's switch gears and discuss the women's team. It's certainly been a different kind of season for head coach Melissa Graves during her tenure at the helm. Jack, what are your impressions of the team's performance on the tail end of the season?
100%. The Terriers faced an uphill battle going into this season. A young team got even younger with the departure of Caitlin Weimer, and with captain Anastasia Semenova out early for the season with an injury, BU was running with only 2 or 3 upperclassmen in the lineup for most of the year, and that inevitably comes with some growing pains. Okay, a lot of growing pains. The team spent most of the conference schedule playing whack-a-mole with different problems. Some games they started well but couldn't finish. Others they got themselves in a hole and couldn't quite dig out of it. Some games they couldn't take care of the ball. Others the defense was an issue. For all of that though, they look to be getting in rhythm just in time, with the team stringing together multiple wins for the first time in conference play in the home stretch, showcasing a dominant defense against Loyola Maryland and their best offensive performances of the year against American and Lehigh.
Jack, I totally agree, and I think a big part of their surge to the finish line has been a number of key players stepping up for BU and cranking up their output on the hardwood. The last couple weeks have been a masterclass for sophomore guard Ava Gormley, who set a new season high in scoring with 16 points against Bucknell on February 12th. Gormley matched that mark a couple games later at Loyola Maryland and followed it up with 14 versus American. Over that 4-game stretch, Gormley shot 18 for 27 from the floor. And when she gets cooking in the paint and builds that confidence, we've seen her extend her game to the perimeter and force the defense to cover that long ball. Alex Giannaros also posted a vintage performance in her senior day game against American, drilling 6 threes for 18 points. Then she dropped 29 points on 10 for 17 shooting with 7 threes in a statement win against Lehigh. And Jack, the women are actually hoping to open the postseason at home in the first round of the Patriot League tournament. What do you think we'll see from the team in March basketball?
Well, I think the outlook for this team, at least for the first round, is about as good as could be expected. Of the 4 teams that are likely to play, they're on pace to finish the best. Whether that extends beyond the first round on the road against the upper echelon of the conference is a little bit more doubtful. But the team is taking care of the ball the best they have, looking a lot more varied and comfortable on offense. And if they keep that up, they can compete with anyone.
Yeah, you're right, Jack. I think the shot variety is especially crucial for the Terriers. We saw BU attack the goal with consistency against American, outscoring the Eagles 42-18 in the paint, not settling for the 3-ball, and generating other looks at the hoop from close or the mid-range is how the Terriers can really shine in the postseason. Good luck to both BU basketball teams as March basketball gets underway. Now, let's lob it over to Sally with the latest on women's ice hockey.
Thank you, Jack and Mason. The regular season has come to a close, and it's been a roller coaster ride for BU women's ice hockey. From hard-fought victories to tough losses, the Terriers now turn their attention to the Hockey East tournament as the number 2 seed. But before we look ahead, let's break down their latest matchups against New Hampshire and Yukon. BU edged out a 2-1 win over UNH, with senior Christina Vogt striking first late in the opening period. Then, in the second, Maggie Hensel, one of the BU's steadiest two-way defenders, positioned at the blue line perfectly deflected a shot into the double the lead. On the other hand, goaltender Callie Shanahan stood strong, making 21 saves, including a few crucial stops at the last minutes of the third period. BU had crucial opportunities late in the game, but while they successfully defended against UNH's attacks, they failed to convert on a 5-on-3 power play. However, BU's defensive discipline held strong in the final minutes, clinching the win. Moving on to the 2-game series against Yukon, this was a matchup where the Terriers faced adversity. In Game 1, a 4-1 loss, turnovers proved costly, and the Terriers couldn't capitalize on early power plays. In Game 2, they responded with a more aggressive attack, outshooting Yukon 34-21. Junior Louisa Walke finally broke through late into the second period with a rebound that finished off a shot from Riley Walsh. Walke's ability to jump on second-chance opportunities has been a hallmark of her game all season. However, with a defensive breakdown in front of the net, Yukon responded in the third with a goal-ahead goal, then sealed the game with an empty netter. The Terriers gave a great offensive pressure, but the lack of power play execution, going 0 for 6 on the night, was an issue. Looking ahead to the Hockey East quarterfinals, BU needs to sharpen up in several areas. They've proven they can control possession and generate offense, but finishing off on power play will be the emphasis. Defensively, they'll need to tighten up their coverage in front of the net to avoid second-chance goals. BU will host their quarterfinal game at the Walter Brown Arena on March 1st. Bring the energy and let's push the Terriers one step closer to the title. I'm Sally Yuan. Now let's send it back to Tyler and Ryder at the desk.
Thanks, Sally. That's all we have time for tonight on Terrier Nation. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and X for the latest Terrier sports updates at Terrier Nation 10. I'm Ryder Moss.
And I'm Tyler Davis. From all of us here at Terrier Nation, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.